on behalf of the Northwest Side Community Association, I'd really like to thank you for coming out on this Friday, the Friday before a long weekend. Anyway, why would you ever want to leave a place like this and go somewhere else?
I know, this is the duck.
And obviously, thank you to Wayne, Moira, Marjorie, and John for coming to spend this time with us so that hopefully we can have a better idea of what their goals are. So, with that said, I'm going to go over the agenda just very quickly. The first thing we're going to be doing is giving each of the candidates 3 minutes to let us know why they're running and broad issues that are important to them. They'll each have 3 minutes. After that, we'll go into questions that are going to come right from the Northwest Side Community Association. We have 3 questions we'll be putting towards them. Following that, we'll have questions from you folks that you've put down on paper, and I will read them out and we'll address it to whoever it's addressed to. Then we're going into questions from the audience. Time permitting, we're going to try to get 7 questions from the audience, 5 of which we'd like them to be directed to the directors, and 2 of which to the school trustees. And then we'll finish up with our closing remarks. We'll have 3 minutes again for each of the candidates to wrap it up. And then, with all going well, we will have a half an hour for you folks to just talk to these folks and ask any questions or just get to know them a little bit better. Just before we go into that, sometimes we need to read a code of conduct, the way we all need to act. So I'm going to read this out. A reasonable decorum will be expected by the guests and candidates to ensure a fair and equitable discussion. The moderator will ensure and maintain a productive and respectful environment. If anyone acts out of line and fails to maintain a reasonable decorum, they will be asked to leave the building immediately. We take security and respect the candidates and guests very seriously. We ask the candidates to respect each other by not speaking over one another and speaking to each other in a civilized manner. We ask the audience to respect the candidates and applaud good ideas rather than the candidates themselves. And probably lastly, please turn your cell phones off if anybody's got theirs live and running. And I didn't introduce myself. I guess I'm Wayne Nixon. I'm president of the Northwest Side. I keep wanting to say Northwest, but Northwest Side Communities Association. So with that said, yes, we'll start with our candidates. Yes, close the walk first, and then if you would, John, and then Myra. Wait, you got Kevin. 3. Oh, I didn't say. All the questions, either the written or submitted from the audience, in an effort to try to keep this to our timeline, they will be given 90 seconds to respond to your questions. Okay? John, if you...
Good evening, everybody. My name is John Cole. Why am I here? Well, I retired a few years ago, and I found that Very interesting place to be, very interesting goings on. I got involved in my community. I live in Sonoma Pines, by the way, which is about halfway down the electoral length of the electoral area. And we've been owners there for 10 years. And so I decided, well, you know, I've got these skills. I've spent 27 years in government services, various jobs, etc. I won't bore you with detail on academics, but I've always been an inquisitive individual, so I've never stopped learning, and I'll continue to do that. And I know there's a big learning curve ahead of me because there's a lot of things that have been done, and a lot of good things that have been done, and a lot of things that we maybe have to take second looks at, but that's all part and parcel of the analysis should I get elected. I ended up here, we spent 27 years up in the Yukon. I worked for the Yukon government there. But my trail I knew was always leading back here. I came through when I was 26, 27. Excuse me, I have a bit of a cold. And as I was driving past Mount Boucherie, it struck me that this is where I should be. This is where I want to be. So my trail was always intended to lead back here. 10 years ago, we made that happen by making a commitment to buying property here. And since I've retired, and my wife Sheila, who's in the audience here tonight with me, she's also retired, and like me, she feels that there's more to life yet. It's, you know, when you're over the financial hill, you start to look a little closer at purpose, and this is the reason I'm here. My background is in governance. I studied the American Canadian systems inside out, so I have a good understanding of how government works inside, and I can tell you, it doesn't look the same inside as it does from the outside. So there's a lot of bridge building to do, particularly in the first year or so of taking on a responsibility like this. But it's well worthwhile because you need to understand the importance of the communications both up and down. So I'm looking forward to being here many times in the next 4 years. Thank you so much.
Now,
3 minutes, eh? Okay. Wayne Carson, been here since 1959 is when my dad bought a lot here. I bought the house in 1981 and spent the rest of the time out here with my wife Michelle. I was 20 years the fire chief in the area here. And enough about me. Let's get into the issues that we have in the community and what I found over the last 4 years. Northwest side, we have serious issues with our water utility rates and future construction that's coming our way. This is going to be very expensive, and it is not well funded at the moment. West Shore's $1.3 million. And we had to use $870,000 in gas tax money because there had not been proper approaches made to the provincial and federal government for that. Drainage, culverts, mudslides are a new issue that's come up as of 2017 when we had the flooding and that. These are things that do have to be addressed. It's a lack of maintenance throughout a lot of the area on the roads and that. But particularly in Killiney Beach and the more built-up areas, this is starting to compromise septic fields. And the runoff is hitting private property, running across septic fields, and we're getting a lot of sewage in with the regular runoff. So I've been working on that. Got good contacts with the provincial government, and and hopefully we'll be able to move that forward with this new LiDAR mapping that the Okanagan Basin Water Board has provided to the regional district. Apparently that is the be-all and end-all for figuring out floods. At-large and aggressive dogs is another thing that keeps coming up within the Northwest Side community. Schools and busings, which talked to Moira about. RCMP response times. Unfortunately, we do not get RCMP come to our regional board like they do at the North Okanagan Regional District. We have no electoral area platform for them to come and speak to us on. Getting into the other areas that we have here, Brent Road, we've got issues with the unfair pool and ice rink tax that goes back many years. They're paying for a service that they do not use. Drainage culverts, mudslides, huge issue down in Brent Road as well. We had a guy, his cabin slid into the lake. They need a second cistern for fire protection, and they're interested in developing the Trail of the Okanagan, which is down on their end. Trepanier, land use changes in zoning, advance notification. I have put one of their members on the APC, the Area Planning Commission, so that they can get a little bit better idea of what's going on, because they kept getting blindsided with things that were happening within their own community. They have a huge need for fire service, gravel pits, shotguns, local park development, and Wilson's Landing, drainage, same thing. And then WFN, which is the other piece of ours, but we do not receive any taxes or provide any services to WFN lands. IR Indian Reserve 9 and 10. We're done? Okay. Ask questions.
You could go on forever.
I got forever.
All right. Now, I'm going to put these questions to the directors. And you'll be, both of you will respond to them. What is your position on self-governance for the Northwest Fire Protection Area? We'll have 90 seconds. Anybody want to go first, or I'll pick one? Go ahead. You're not up there.
Self-governance, that came to before the board about 2015. The Northwest Side Communities Association took a presentation, a really good PowerPoint presentation into the regional board and delivered it to them. And basically it came down to one question. Is the Northwest Side financially capable of self-governance? And that was the answer that they wanted. I went and managed to find a contact through Peter Fassbender, who was Minister of Community, Sport and Culture at the provincial government at the time. He actually took an interest in that, and he provided us $20,000 in funding. Unfortunately, he lost his election. The Liberals government went into limbo, and by the time the regional board ended up putting it forward, it turned out to be a service review, which the regional district got a 60% dissatisfied or very dissatisfied rate from the residents of the area. So I would like to continue looking at this and seeing if we can get a cost, because it is extremely expensive to have services delivered through the regional district.
Thanks, Ray.
Self-governance has to make sense, and it has to make dollars. So my intent, and I agree with Wayne, it has to be looked at. We have to see whether it measures up, whether it's the best way to do business, governance business. And one of my strong beliefs, and it's something that I've been trained to do, and that is to look at effective and efficient use of dollars. Unfortunately, Wayne has the advantage of being the incumbent, so he knows the inside detail. But I can't wait to get my hands on those financial statements and tear them apart and see what does work and what doesn't work, and get a hold of the people that are responsible there on the program lines and delivering service and getting their opinions on what they think is valuable and whether there's a way to move forward. And of course, coming back to the citizens of the area and seeing exactly what they think of whatever proposals, what other options that come forward after a real good analysis of what in fact can and can't work. So it's a maybe, but it has to have value for you, and it has to have good benefits for you. So we'll wait and see.
Okay, the second question. The citizens of our region are always upset with the high cost of water. Do you see any way of reducing these costs? We'll go to you first, Wayne.
Okay, water. I know John just said about getting the financial statements. I've requested financial statements on our water systems starting in 2015, and the board has refused those to me. The Northwest Side Community Association made a request to the regional board for financial statements on our water systems out here, and they were also refused. We're not getting the information on these systems. They've had operational losses for probably 7-8 years in a row, and they're just not willing to provide any information on where those losses are and whether or not there's some way of mitigating those losses. They just keep coming back and they want more money from you. In 2012, it was just rubber stamped and you got an increase. In 2015, when they came for another increase, I asked for the financial accountability on the water systems, and what happened is they went to a lawyer and they changed the voting structure. And ended up, instead of just the 2 electoral area directors voting on the local water systems, they determined that the entire board got to vote on them. So both Director Hanson or Bardick, depending on who was sitting on there from the other side at the time, and myself both voted against those water rate increases without financial accountability for the losses, and you just went ahead and got it anyhow. When I talked to the CAO the next day, asked for those financial accountabilities, told me I had to go to the board, and the board refused once again.
Well, Wayne, it sounds like we're not opponents. Sounds like we're on the same side trying to get the same information, and I think we can do it. I think it's important. You can't make a decision if you don't have the information to make a decision on. So we'll try a little harder. And somebody's got the information. It's a democracy. It should be there somewhere. So I'll do my best to ferret it out. Also, I'd like to see an analysis of other water systems throughout BC to see where in fact we do rank, if we are the most costly, or if we're the average, or if in fact maybe we do have a good deal. I don't know, but I'll find out.
All right, thank you, John. And the final question from the association, and this is very close by, the Regional District Road off Udall Road and approaching our fire hall, in other words, the road you just came up to get here, is desperately in need of repair. Do you feel you will be able to obtain the funds from Regional District to fix this issue?
As far as I know, no request is being made to me by the fire department or the community association for funding for the road. We have a fair, good amount of gas tax money in the account, and it would probably be a good expenditure of that money on the access road. I know the fire trucks require a little bit more pavement than the regular cars because of the weight and the rest of that, so it will be expensive to do it. But I have no problem. I think the gas tax money should be spent on things like this moving forward, and I don't know whether or not you're talking parking lot too, or just the access road, but what they need to do is they need to get a funding request into the regional board, and we'll take a look at it there. I think that that's one of the things with gas tax money that usually the rest of the board is fairly supportive, because it's not coming out of their pocket, it's coming straight out of our funding. So that would be my best suggestion for getting this road fixed.
Thank you, Wayne. John. Feels strange you should be saying John Wayne.
Just like having Bob back.
I'm amazed that your equipment can actually get out of your fire hall and make that hairpin turn there, so absolutely. I will try to do whatever I can to get the road improved there. As a matter of fact, I drove around your community. I find all of your roads extremely narrow. So I guess it sounds like the original planners were probably Japanese, because my car has a real wide turning radius, and I find some of your streets difficult to get around. So definitely I will see where the best opportunities are to get the funding from, and work like hell to get the funding to do those improvements.
Okay, Bob, if you would bring the questions up from the audience that were written.
4 for directors, 1 for the trustees.
Oh, lovely. Well, you know what? Let's do the trustee one first. Okay, now on to the directors. This question is for John Cole, but Wayne, you can respond to it as well. Where do you live, and to whom do you pay taxes?
That's an easy one.
Okay.
I live in Snow Pines, and I pay taxes like everybody else. They do funnel through WFN, of course, but from WFN to the RDCO budget, there's $600,000 a year that's contributed. So we're all on the same team here, trying to gain as much benefit from the RDCO program lines as we possibly can, and it's for everybody in the West electoral area. I will be fighting as hard for Killiney Beach as I will for Brent Road, as I will for people in IR9 and IR10. Thank you.
All right, thanks, John. I don't think that was a question just for you, so. The next question. What have you done, and what are you going to do to get natural gas to our area? Wayne, I'll ask you this one.
I'm sorry, I'm doing nothing. Natural gas was explored, maybe 10 years ago, and the option was to bring it up from the south, and it was $7.5, $8 million or something at that time. But unfortunately, what they were doing is the interest was in getting natural gas to Lake Okanagan Resort, but because we have a population here, we were being used as the bank. Okay, if they brought it all the way out here, then we were paying for the whole line all the way there. It made it cheaper for the people down the other end. Natural gas is headed this way through the WFA, or the Okanagan Indian Band lands, but it doesn't seem to be making a lot of progress. But I would rather wait for the natural gas to come to us from the north, where it's going to be a lot cheaper, than to pay full freight to bring it up from the south, because that's a nasty road you have to put it in. We just finished paving whole great big sections of it at multi-millions of dollars. So to go and dig it up to put a natural gas line in there doesn't make a lot of sense to me. So that's pretty much where I stand on that one.
John, did you want to address that?
Oh, sure. What I'd like to do is see exactly what has happened to this point. Take a look at it and see what sort of projections they have to move services this way. To be quite honest, at this point in time, have no information on natural gas being put down this way, but it would make a lot of sense to run it through where the costs are equally shared and the benefits are equally shared. So it probably, I'm just guessing here, but there's probably a significant timeline before that really becomes a reality. I think there's a lot of feasibility work that needs to be done, and absolutely, if they're going to be making highway improvements all the way through, you'd think that pre-planning for the gas thing should be part and parcel of constructing new highways through the valley. Thank you.
Thanks, John. The last question, again, John, is for you. Specifically. Nobody wants to talk to you. What made you decide to challenge the incumbent, and who encouraged you the most? John.
Before I get into that, I have to, it was pointed out to me that maybe not everybody here knows where Sonoma Pines is. So, okay, Sonoma Pines is, there's an IR 9, IR 10, we're on IR, I keep getting them mixed up, I think we're on 10. Right in the middle of the west electoral area, so I can get to either end in less than an hour. What made me, oh, we're not taking questions, ma'am, I'm sorry. I can say that, that's my wife.
Are you on West Side Road? You live on West Side Road?
It's all about West Side.
So I don't really think that, so,
Because none of us can figure out where you actually live.
yeah, so do you know what the Two Eagles Golf Course is?
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, Two Eagles Golf Course, we're right beside it.
We're right beside it.
Yeah,
If
we're
that
right behind
brings
Home
it into
Depot.
perspective at all, Butt Road in Carrington, right in that area there, where that whole metropolis of buildings is, that shopping
Okay.
area, we're right in there.
Okay, so why am I doing this? I'm doing this because I have I think a unique toolkit to navigate my way through government. I did that for 27 years. I was a policy writer, I was a researcher, I was an analyst. So when I see the paper, I can pretty quickly get through it and understand the detail in it. Why am I doing this? I'm doing this because I love doing this. I'm doing it because I'm retired. I've been retired for 5 years, and I'm finding that my purpose in life is waning, and I need to jazz my life up. So I've always been interested in politics, and so here I am again.
Okay, so now we're prepared to take questions from the audience. Who has a question? Oh, come on.
Can I make a point rather than a question?
Yes?
For Wayne and Cole? One thing it would be nice for, like for me, is to hear more from like a generalized email rather than a post on the bulletin board. It's like, there's a lot of stuff that I hear about only through my wife because she's with the fire department, but otherwise, if it wasn't for her, I would not know about a lot of these issues. And I'd like to be more
Either
informed.
would you like to?
I'll respond to that. I have a website, waynecarson.ca.
Yeah, been to it.
Everything is on it,
Yeah.
including, what I did is I went back to the board meetings and I took items of interest to Central Okanagan West, whether planning, zoning, water systems, whatever, and I isolated that into an audio clip for that so that you can actually go back on the website, go to the date, go to the subject that you want, and play the audio clip, and it will tell you, or it'll play you the board discussion on what was there. I found that that was the best way to do it between the blogs and the pages on the website. I think just about anything that I've talked about here or anything that I've discussed in the last 4 years is right there in writing.
And the newsletter that we send out by email.
Oh, and yeah, and of course, West Side Post is got good information because I know both myself and Ben Stewart and I think Myra also does a column in there. So we try and get the information into the West Side Post as well because it's free circulation through the area. But like I said, I put it all on the website. Everything is on the website. So that's your best place to get information. And of course, I know you tried emailing me, I don't know what email, but the regional district gives me an email, and that's the one that I respond to questions and the rest of that from the residents on.
Thank you.
Right here. Yeah.
Yeah, Mr. Cole, my name's Herb Wyans. There's quite a large population in the Kelowna side of the district who, in many minds here, I think, have never given a damn about what happens in the north side, and whether if that's population density or what it is. So the question for you is, basically, I have a three-part question. One of them being, how would you conceive of bridging that gap? And secondly, I forgot the question.
That's an easy one to answer.
No, yeah, secondly, I'm making a fool of myself.
No, jump to thirdly.
Three-part question. I beg your pardon?
Jump to thirdly.
Thirdly, I think we'll stick with the bridging the gap,
Okay.
and we'll start there. Maybe I'll remember the rest of it later.
Well, I can tell you, it's not because they're ignoring you. I've been finding in approaching the communities that make up IR9, IR10, there's a lot of people who don't even know that they are part of the West electoral area. So I've been doing a lot of educating in the last couple of weeks. My goal is hopefully to unite the communities by being a catalyst, moving in between the communities, sharing information with everybody, and focusing on solutions, looking at options, looking at alternatives, and sharing them with everybody, because the more heads I think we can get into solving problems, the better solutions we're going to come up with.
Okay, I think you've answered 1 and 2, but thirdly, how do you feel that you would be able to work with the concerns of the northern part of the district and how would you identify those concerns in this position if you were elected?
The first thing that I need to do is, once I have availability to the information in programming, is to get familiar with that. The next large thing I have to do is come back to the citizen right across the electoral area and have some real head-to-head discussions to really define the problems. And a lot of times I have found in my work, when the problem doesn't have a good definition, your solutions are not good. So we need to collaborate to make sure we know what we want and plan a strategy how to get it.
Okay, how do you expect to collaborate with the people of the north part of the district?
I want to collaborate mostly face-to-face because I like talking to people. I will be putting up a website. I do have that intent, but I don't like just messaging. I don't even carry my cell phone. I only use it when I'm out running or if I'm taking a long trip. It's a medical safety device for me. But I would like to get to know your schedule of meetings, not only your community association meetings, but your seniors meetings. Anything that's happening in the community I want to tap into right through the whole area.
Okay, one other personal comment. My wife's Asian, and we don't have a monopoly on narrow roads, nor did we ever build them.
Yes.
Can I respond to this?
Of course you can.
Okay. First off, Herb, I'm just wondering if we misunderstood your question there on the first part. Was it about the Kelowna? When you said Kelowna, I know
No.
John responded to the numbers of people on West Bank First Nations land, but were you talking about the dominance of Kelowna at the board table?
Well, no, I don't know about the people here can support me or not, but I've always felt that there's a larger population on the south end of our district, and that larger population has a tendency to not really care about what's happening in the northwest side area.
Well, actually, the way it works out is the northwest side is the most populous area of the electoral area that, as I say, pay taxes to the regional district. Okay, Brent Road and Trepanier, Crystal Mountain, and Wilson's Landing, Traders Cove, all those communities have much smaller populations than the northwest side. So we are quite a bit larger than those. Now, obviously, West Bank First Nations has 9,600 people on there, but the regional district does not deliver services directly to them. That does not reach the board. We do not discuss West Bank First Nations services, costing, or taxes at the regional district board. It is private conversations between the regional district and chief and council on WFN lands. And I have no role in that and play no role in that. And I don't think they would appreciate me trying.
Okay, further questions?
I live in Killiney Beach, and I have heard of many places, parks that have been fixed and repaired since our flooding, not this spring, the spring before, and we are still looking at a mess. And if our very loud spokesman can't move RDCO, I don't know how you think you can, it's just ridiculous what I'm seeing happening in our area, the neglect. I feel that we are neglected, and I don't feel we're neglected because of our councilman, but because RDCO is ignoring us. And so I don't think anyone could be searching more or trying harder than him. So I really, if you think you can just go in and sweet talk those guys, I think you're sort of dreaming, really. It's
John, would you
very
like to
sad.
respond to that?
Let me first say that big things start with dreams. And my dreams is to come to look after those sort of things. You know what? Sometimes you just got to beat your head against the wall until the wall falls down, if that's what it takes. When it comes to the overall electoral area, that is one thing that I really want to concentrate on, because I see this whole area just fractionalized, and it shouldn't be. There should be communication all along, because communities uniting helps move House moved governments, they pay attention when it's more than one or two individuals. The squeaky wheel can get really big if everybody unites.
Well, the numbers tell a story, okay? Kelowna now has 7 seats out of the 13 on the regional board. And all 7 people there, including the 2 from West Kelowna, the 1 from Lake Country, and the 1 from Peachland, are all appointed to the board. The only ones actually elected to the board is myself and the representative from Central Okanagan East. So that creates a problem for us because they do dominate it. And what I found over the last 4 years is we've got 4 people from the city of Kelowna have stood in front and blocked pretty much everything that we've tried to do for either electoral area. I speak for the other side as well at the moment here. And it's just being unfair, and they have used their weight to push us around. So what I'm hopeful for is that there's a change, and change is coming. The West Kelowna mayor is not running for mayor anymore. He's running as councilman, so there will be a new mayor, a new face on the regional district board. There's a heavily contested race going on down in Peachland, so there could possibly be a new face there. James Baker from Lake Country will be there forever. And in Kelowna, it looks like there could be a big sweep in Kelowna, a big change in Kelowna. And what I've done is I've actually put my name in, and I am also running for a council position in the city of Kelowna. And if there is that change there, I'm hoping to be in there, making friends with the new people in there who will come to the board and get things done that way. You're done. I will be sitting on the board as a Central Okanagan West Director, though, because that's the position I would be elected to.
Okay, further questions? Yes, sir.
Who appoints these guys?
In most cases, the mayor goes. In West Kelowna's case, the mayor goes, and because of their population, they get to bring 1 more director.
There was 7 directors.
Yeah, and in Kelowna, the mayor is the one that decides who goes to the regional district board. And they have 9 people there, mayor and 8 councillors, and they send 7 of those to the regional district board.
Yeah, okay.
It's by population.
Doesn't sound
Democrat.
kind of legit.
I have a hard time finding the democracy in it myself.
Wow.
But it is what it is, you know? And like I said, new faces on the board. We have a new opportunity to try and move forward the things that it is we want in the
But
community.
isn't the new mayor or not still appointed?
Absolutely. But a whole bunch of new faces to appoint, hopefully.
Yeah, all right. I was curious. You're the only elected and somebody else.
The electoral areas, understand one thing, the 2 electoral areas together represent less than 1% of the population of this regional district, but we are close to 5% of the assessed value. So we should have a stronger voice than we do.
Just seems like two different policies, you know.
Well, there is. The municipalities run under a different act. The electoral areas run under the Local Government Act, and the municipalities have their own act. And unfortunately, the Local Government Act is the one that has not been upgraded as time went by, because every day there's more municipalities, less electoral areas.
So it almost sounds like people are playing each other against each other.
Okay?
Yeah, okay, I'm good.
Talk me out.
Thank you for asking. Thank you for asking.
Yeah, no problem.
John, would you like to respond?
Yeah, it definitely appears that the dice is loaded here, but I have to find out why and how come the board's been in existence for so long, and that they they haven't really been, or anybody's been advocating a change there. I would like to find out if there is a change mechanism or what the fundamental principles and philosophy of having this setup really is. I heard Wayne
Can I speak to that for a
mention,
second?
yeah,
Daryl Horto, the regional boards were set up so that smaller communities had representation. Well, once upon a time, they provided a forum for the smaller communities not to get overrun. Unfortunately, with the population growth in certain areas, we've had municipalities created in the regional district of Central Okanagan, which now the balance used to be with the small electoral areas and small municipalities. Now with the larger ones, the weight has shifted. So when this regional district system was set up in British Columbia, the purpose was to allow for representative type government.
right.
Now, with the change, it's rep by pop, and you get so many seats, and then if you wish, you could ignore the people that are elected to your board. And that's exactly what's been happening. I admire that you come out. I have a similar university education, politics. I've worked in politics. I've worked in business. I've been involved. I've watched what's happened. My wife got involved with the water system here and the rates. She sent a nice email off. They co-opted it and pretended it was their research on water rates. And we are far, far above what we should be. And to balance things, they take it from our capital account, drain the money out of that, put it into the operating account, which is losing year after year, and provide no accountability on that. So I said, I admire you coming in and trying to do something, but you're a baby in the woods, and I'm sorry, but Wayne's been knocking his head against this wall for a lot longer than 4 years. And we're having, you want to know what the problem is? The problem is you have board members who are not elected in the area spending money here. Just making financial decisions on water systems, on parks, on you name it, anything that we have to pay for as a local area. They're making the decisions and they're not accountable, period. You can change that?
Ready, willing, and able to try.
I know, like I say, I appreciate your effort, but you're going to slaughter.
Well, maybe Wayne's head's tired from knocking against those walls.
No, I
Maybe we need a new
It's just
man.
getting started. He lives for this.
I think everybody feels your frustration. Okay,
I have one thing.
yes.
I have this, my question is for.
John?
Yes. You mentioned just a couple of questions ago that you have been campaigning heavily on Indian Reserve 9 and 10, because that is where you live, on West Bank First Nations land. So, as you've been campaigning heavily there, none of those people contribute to the RDCO tax base. So I was just wondering why you were campaigning so heavily in that area and not out here where we do contribute taxes to the RDCO.
Well, in fact, I have been out here, and the other thing is that the WFN contributes $600,000 a year to the budget, so they're part of the electoral area, so I campaign there. It's pretty straightforward. I've put in as much time between Killiney Beach and Brent Road.
Killiney Beach.
And Brent Road. So your word was heavily. I think I've done equally
No, I
in
use
both
that because
areas.
that's what you said.
Okay. Yeah, and I'm also campaigning heavily here. This is my third visit here. I've had visits at the other end. I've been to 3 meetings in RI9, RI10. So I've actually spent more time on the west side.
Again, it was what you said. that I
Yeah,
was
okay.
watching.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. We're not allowed to talk.
There's my question.
Don't you know your place yet?
Can you get respond to that?
What, hey, if you like, do you want to?
Not yet. I just wanted to point out that the $600,000 that John refers to, that goes from WFN to the RDCO, these are matters that are not discussed at the regional district board level. They are not approved by the board, they're not part of the board's agenda, and you will never see one of those items on the board. It's just not part of the job.
Well, you know where they get the money?
What's?
Where do they get this?
They get the money the same way every government gets money. They tax the people that live on IR 9 and 10, on West Bank First Nations land. They are the local government. They have the authority to tax. And they tax the people within WFN the same as the regional district taxes us in the electoral areas and the municipalities tax them.
Yeah, we hand over ours to the,
There you go. Everybody hands the money over. It's what happens with money once you've handed it over, which is what's
well,
important.
their 600,000 doesn't go back.
There's $600,000 that goes to pay for specific services that they receive from the regional district or through the regional district function.
Which has nothing to do with us.
As far as payment goes, no. Our services, we are billed and charged for the services that are delivered and received from the regional district in the area here. Everything from dog control, the fire departments, planning, and the rest of that. That's what you pay taxes for. And those taxes go to the province, who sends it back to the regional district.
Approximately how much do we send?
I think we were $2.3 million for all of the communities within Central Okanagan West that pay and receive services from the regional district, and then a further $1.1 million from the 3 water systems, actually the 4 water systems, because Star Place is a small water system.
And the amount from the northwest firefighting area is approximately?
I figure that the northwest, and my guess, or my estimate, is that the northwest side is responsible for somewhere between 60 and probably 70–75% of that.
So that would
We
be
have
much
the
more.
overwhelming population, we've got a large bit of waterfront, and most of the other communities beyond us have a lot less residents and are just confined to the water.
Thank you. Now, this has been held on your mind.
Thank you for your attention. It's been wonderful being here again and chatting with you. Somebody called me a dreamer. Mea culpa. Dreamt all my life, and I've had a wonderful life because of my dreams. I will work my hardest because that's who I am. I've never shirked my work in any way, shape, or form. I was born a poor kid, and I was blessed with a good country that allowed me opportunities to develop myself as a person and to develop my tools as a, and I don't like using the word politician, my tools as a facilitator. And that is what I'm going to do. And that means a lot of things. It means getting to know the programs. It means getting to know, the old Donald Trump thing, follow the money. And it's getting to it's building the bridges up and down so that we have good communication right through the West electoral area, right through the RDCO, into the provincial organization. Wherever we have to go to chase down the money, that's where I'm going to go. So thank you all, and please come out and vote on the 20th. Thank you.
Thanks very much, John. And Wayne.
All right, buckle up, this is going to have to be fast here. So on the governance, just so that you know, there is only two positions for an area to be. We're either an electoral area or we're an incorporated municipality. There is nothing else in between. Okay, that's why we're looking for costing on it, because the only place you can go from here is incorporation. The water. We're far more expensive than our neighbors. Most of the people out here on the regional district water systems are $1,200 to $1,600 a year. I'm finding they're about $800 in town. So that's not right. In 2015, we had a town hall meeting, and a question was asked, I think it was by the ratepayers, as how we could run our own water systems. And the CAO got up at that time and told us that if we wanted to run our own water systems, we could go and incorporate, because that's the only way it was going to happen. So that's the way it goes. But with the water systems, quickly, there's a need for financial accountability for the operational and capital spending on all of the RDCO water systems, and currently that is being denied us by the board. I'm hoping a new board will look at that differently. We need to explore what's called a point of entry filtration system. This is where the filtration is on your house. You're looking at about $2,000 a house to do it that way, and they're looking at $3.5 million for Killiney Beach and another $3.5 million for West Shores, which is going to come up considerably more than that, and there'll be a $100,000 a year job that goes along with that. Okay, we need an independent legal opinion on our stakeholders' voting privilege that was taken away from us in 2015, so that we determine. It is not one water system by one director. There's 6 water systems operated by the regional district, and that's 2 directors to serve those. The vote should be back the way it was for the previous 50 years, back with the people that pay for it. Both directors, electoral area directors, we voted against 3 out of the last 4 budgets, and water is the main reason we've done that. It hasn't even made the highlights. So taxes, your taxes have gone down 4 out of the last 5 years. We had a blip there in 2015, 2016, where all of a sudden they went way down and then they went back up the next year. That's the fringe area agreements. Again, these are agreements that were drawn up by the municipalities with no legal opinion on behalf of the electoral area residents, you. They made these agreements, the best agreements they could make for themselves, which I don't blame them, dropped them in front of us and said, sign them. We refused to sign them, the chair of the board signed them on our behalf. Planning function. The planning function here for the electoral areas is almost a $500,000 line item on the budget. Of that, Central Okanagan West is paying $183,000. A community with 2,000 people or even 6,000 you throw the other side on, we should be $20,000 to $30,000, not $500,000. So we do not have a good deal going for us. That's all the time I got. I got much more. You want to come up and talk to me? I'll tell you all about it.
That took a lot of willpower on Wayne's part. All right. We have actually come to the end of the meeting, and I'd like to thank everyone for their input. Nobody misbehaved. That's good. And I want to thank everyone.
Don't volunteer.
I'll talk to you outside, okay? Anyway, thank you very much. What we will have now is till 9 o'clock for you to talk to these lovely folks and get any clarity on whatever didn't get answered by the questions that were asked. So again, thank you very much. Good evening and happy Thanksgiving.